Today, it's October 2, 2023. Donald Trump and his family lost big time in New York State civil fraud case filed against the former president, his two sons, and the Trump business empire by New York Attorney General Letitia James. I'm Esmeralda Padilla-Gould, and welcome to The Pulse.
And I'm Sam Buban. In a scathing decision by Judge Arthur Engoron last week, September 26, a judge in the Manhattan Supreme Court, the equivalent of the Superior Court in many other states like Nevada, the judge found the defendants in the case liable for fraud. Judge Engoron granted the motion of State Attorney General Letitia James for summary judgment on the civil fraud case. People of the State of New York versus Donald J. Trump et al. In his 35-page decision plus order on motion, the judge cited state laws and other case laws of similar circumstances and evidence like any other will be judged as anyone violated the laws. Without regard to whoever they are treated equal under the law. Judge Engoron rejected the arguments of Trump's lawyers, citing several cases that the Attorney General Letitia James has no power to investigate Trump and his business organization. All has been rejected by the judge as incorrect. That the State Attorney General investigated and prosecuted the case under Executive Law, Section 63, Paragraph 12. I'm not a lawyer, that is why we are going to show here some of the best analysis who are good in this kind of cases. But I did a little bit of my homework as to what is Executive Law, Section 63, Paragraph 12, known to many New York lawyers as Executive Law 6312. The law was passed by the New York Legislature in April 14, 1956. This New York law, known as the New York Executive Law, gives the Attorney General of New York broad powers to investigate and prosecute cases of civil fraud, to protect the people of New York, and to seek justice when victims of civil fraud. Due to its broad definitions, Section 6312 provides the Attorney General with far-reaching powers to issue subpoenas as well as low legal hurdles to do so. That means the legal requirement for her to do so isn't that much. That means clear evidence that is not voluminous is enough to allow her to prosecute. So the important citation in the decision was the validity of Executive Law 6312 in the conduct of the Attorney General. It was validated by Judge Engoron as correct. It was in the meticulous gathering of evidence and testimonies by witnesses by the New York Attorney General that led to the prosecution of the Trump Organization and all other subsidiaries. For example, Alan Weisselberg, the Chief Financial Officer of the Trump Organization, who already served time in prison for the false financial reports of the company. He cooperated and pleaded guilty and will serve his probation after incarceration in the New York's notorious prison. The named defendants on the case are Donald J. Trump, the former president, Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, Alan Weisselberg, who is already had served prison on criminal fraud case relating to the Trump Organization, Jeffrey McConney, the comptroller, and Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust, the Trump Organization, Inc., DJT Holdings, LLC, the DJT Holdings Managing Member, Trump Endeavor 12, LLC, 401 North Wabash Venture, LLC, Trump Old Post Office, LLC, 40 Wall Street, LLC, and Seven Springs, LLC. In the same decision by Judge Engoron, all of these entities were found liable on civil fraud. In this summary judgment entered, the trial phase can proceed but only to determine the amount to be awarded to the plaintiff, the people of the state of New York. Here are the other things that will truly be devastating to Trump, who paints himself for years as a very successful businessman and a very wealthy person. How bad did this go for him? Here's lawyer Ben Meiseles of the Midas Touch Network, who was the first to give a very clear analysis just within 2 hours after the decision and order was released.
Well, as we predicted, we don't have to worry about a trial in October, at least not on liability for Donald Trump's and all of his children, at least Donald Trump Jr. and Eric and others, in the civil fraud case for $250 million plus brought by the New York Attorney General, because as we predicted, the judge today, Judge Engoron, in a 35-page single-spaced decision and order, has ruled that the New York Attorney General has met her burden and on summary judgment has found that civil fraud, the heart of the case, has been made out without the necessity of a trial, only on the papers and on the undisputed facts already established, on a case dealing with the overinflation, intentional, and underinflation of Donald Trump's assets and those of his organization, to the tune the New York Attorney General has estimated at up to $3.7 billion, in which Donald Trump and his organization would inflate the cost or the value of his assets in order to borrow more money, improving his balance sheet, and decrease it or deflate the value in order to pay less on taxes in at least 12 of his properties. Engoron was very, very specific in his ruling today. He said that not only has Donald Trump, Trump Jr., Eric Trump, Alan Weisselberg, the disgraced CFO who's already spent time in jail for tax evasion, and Jeff McConney, the controller of the Trump organization, along with every one of the major organizations, entities that Donald Trump uses to conduct business, including the trust that he uses for all of his assets, all of those entities have had their New York certificates for incorporation in order to do business in the state of New York revoked as of today in this order. So first ruling is New York Attorney General Letitia James wins on the core of her case under Executive Law 63-12, seeking a ruling that all of those Trump entities, including Donald Trump first, are engaged in willful, intentional, and persistent fraud. Regardless of whether there is a quote-unquote victim, it is irrelevant. If you conduct fraud in your business of a New York corporation and the New York Attorney General proves their case, your companies are shut down. You are shut down from ever, at least for the time being, ever being an officer or director of a New York entity. That's also happened. In addition to the certificates of corporation and the ability to operate a business in New York being canceled, we also have and the finding of civil fraud. We also have sanctions being issued against all of the firms involved in defending Donald Trump, from the Haba Medallo firm, and Medallo specifically, to Chris Keiss and 3 other law firms. They've each been fined $7,500 a piece to be paid into a fund that's used for this type of thing. And so the only thing left now for the October 2nd trial, the only thing left is for the judge, because there's no jury. This is a bench trial because Alina Habba screwed up the paperwork early on in the case and didn't ask for a jury trial within 15 days of the note of issue being filed by the New York Attorney General. The only thing left is for a trial, actual presentation of evidence to the trier of fact, this same Judge Engoron, to decide on the amount of the money that's going to be clawed back from Donald Trump and all of these entities. That's called disgorgement. We heard a number of 250 million. I think it's going to go up, which means they got to pay that out plus interest back to the people of the state of New York, basically, as part of a disgorgement fine. In addition, the judge made it clear in the order that we have a monitor, a financial monitor, which is a former federal judge, Barbara Jones. She has been in place for over a year observing, monitoring, and reporting on the financial transactions of all of these Trump entities and these individuals. She will remain in place for the time being through the time of trial. And then, of course, once that's over, so will her monitorship likely be over, but we don't know that yet. Let me bring in my co-anchor, one of my co-anchors for Legal AF, Karen Friedman Agnifilo. We're both practicing New York bar members. Karen has the special and distinct honor of having been a 30-year prosecutor, not in the New York Attorney General's office, but in the Manhattan District Attorney's office, but of course knows her way around fraud cases. And Judge Engoron, sorry, as you can tell, we're in New York. See that 5-alarm fire is Donald Trump's organization burning to the ground. So Judge Engoron made the ruling. We know there's going to be an immediate appeal, Karen, by Donald Trump to try to get to the first department, because even though the judge built a timer in of about 10 days before this becomes final to give people time to go appeal, he's full steam ahead for the October 2nd trial, while the appellate court is still deciding whether the October 2nd trial should be postponed based on prior filings by the Trump organization before the ruling. But now that's sort of been obviated, I think, by the decision by the judge that takes 90% of the case is already decided before October 2nd.
In simple terms, what's going to happen now to the Trump business empire?
Donald Trump, the Trump Organization, Inc., and all those named subsidiaries lost their licenses to operate in the state of New York. You know how, like, we have in this state, business licenses are issued to operate here in the state of Nevada. That license is normally issued by the Secretary of State. Okay? If you don't have that, or if it's been revoked, you can't do business anymore in Nevada. So anyone whose license is revoked or canceled can no longer continue to operate. Trump is basically and legally shut down in New York. For individuals like the former president, his sons, Don Jr. and Eric Trump, the motion includes the term disgorgement. According to legal experts who had spoken about the decision by the same judge on November 3rd, 2022, that was last year, the penalty sought by the state attorney general was disgorgement. That Donald J. Trump, Don Jr. and Eric Trump can no longer operate any company as an executive in New York. And when the Trump family lost the case, the maximum penalty for civil fraud in New York is $250 million. The disgorgement of profits to which the plaintiff, in this case the people of New York through the Attorney General, is entitled to and can also be determined at the trial. Note that this is a summary judgment, just like in the other defeat of Donald Trump in the E. Jean Carroll case. The purpose of the trial is the amount to be awarded, no more evidence to be presented as it is already there.
Uncle Sam, so years of believing that Trump is a successful businessman has been finally exposed as fraud?
Everything is in the evidence presented by the brave and meticulous prosecutor, New York Attorney General Letitia James, and her team. We are going to take a commercial break. Please stay with us.
We use headphones as a part of our everyday lives. Whether we're at work, getting exercise, meditating, in transit, studying, practicing, or relaxing.
Hi, I'm Ryan Sway, the founder of Aircom. I would like to introduce the world's first wireless airflow audio earbuds. As a festival and a concert junkie, I really enjoy the live experience of being there and feeling the music. When we started developing Airflow, our goal was to reproduce that live experience using earbuds.
The problem with traditional headphones is that the speakers are located inside of the earpiece, literally giving you centimeters before the audio hits your eardrum.
What Aircom is doing, they're the first company to actually address the fact that there needs to be a space involved associated with having the sound waves expand fully.
The difference between traditional headphones and Aircom audio is that the air tube gives you 8 times more space, allowing the sound waves to fully develop before they actually hit your eardrums. And this gives it a much more live, natural sound, just like in a recording studio.
It's real nice that someone actually addressed the physics associated with how sound comes out.
The challenge we had was to create an earbud with enough airspace for the sound to fully develop and breathe. Unfortunately, traditional earbuds are about the size of a jelly bean, and there's just not enough airspace. However, that changed when we developed Airflow Audio. Airflow uses an air tube to deliver 6 to 8 times more airspace than traditional earbuds. The end result is a true live listening experience, just like you're at a festival or a concert. We also added magnets to the back of the earpieces so you can wear it around your neck when you're not using it.
Being that the drivers are 8 inches from the earpiece, the magnets do not affect the integrity of the sound at all.
The orange line represents the frequency transmitting through the wire to the speaker, which then converts to the blue sound wave that develops more as it travels up the air tube, producing a balanced, full body and live listening experience.
Another really cool feature is that these earbuds are sweat-proof and water-resistant because they're coated with a super hydrophobic nanotechnology. So now you can be on a skateboard or riding a motorcycle and listen to music as if you were watching a live show or actually in a recording studio.
We're coming to you for help in bringing these unparalleled earbuds to market.
Welcome back to The Pulse. In Out News from Abroad, another humanitarian crisis has been ignited. The sudden invasion by Azerbaijan troops of Nagorno-Karabakh region, which have enjoyed several years of semi-autonomy, and massive explosion of an oil depot was so alarming to more than half of the population of this part of Azerbaijan, who are Armenian descent. The Armenians of Nagorno-Karabakh had fled the country to neighboring Armenia. The separatist government, whose population are majority Armenians, will dissolve and no longer exist and will become part of Azerbaijan. As of Friday last week, multiple media outlets reported that an estimated 70% of the population Nagorno-Karabakh had left in a mass exodus to Armenia, creating another humanitarian crisis, especially with thousands of women and children who are suddenly displaced. There was a negotiation between Armenian leaders of Nagorno-Karabakh for a smooth transition with concessions from both sides. But the surprise came when the Azerbaijani government sent the military into the region, and the locals started fighting the Azerbaijani forces. The United States and Germany are seeking arrangement to send troops as observers to protect Armenians and mitigate the crisis. We are going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we will be joined here at the FILAMTV studio by our guest, who is a part of an organization called Democratic Socialists of America. Please stay with us.
Welcome back to the polls. With us now is Sean Navarro, who represents the Las Vegas chapter of the Democratic Socialists of America. Thank you for being here with us, Sean. So give us some insights about your organization.
Absolutely. Hello, my name is Sean Navarro. I'm the external co-chair for Las Vegas DSA. We are the Las Vegas chapter of the largest socialist organization in America, the Democratic Socialists of America. We are completely member-driven. Our members get to decide the work that we do. We're funded almost entirely by our members. We also sell some merchandise and make some money some other ways. But yes, we've been around since 2017 when the chapter initially formed. I joined around late 2017 after Donald Trump won the presidency. We saw a lot of growth around that period. That kind of brought us to the phase now we're in with DSA. We work on a number of different issues. We work on housing. We do mutual aid. We do a lot of labor work. We are a big tent organization, so our members ideologically run the gamut from just left of center to full out communists and anarchists. You know, a lot of folks like to debate what socialism means, and trust me, we could spend all day debating online. Often we do, but it kind of gives you the elevator pitch real quick. We believe that the major institutions that manage our everyday life, education, your workplace, healthcare, those are being run currently for the profit of increasingly small amount of people. And we believe those should be run democratically for the people and not for profit. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to DSA and socialism in general. I think socialism has been the target of one of the biggest and frankly most successful propaganda campaigns in history, making it into a bad thing. Socialism has a very storied history in America. Some misconceptions, particularly about DSA, is that we are not necessarily part of the Democratic Party. The Democratic part is about we do everything democratically. So everything we do is decided democratically by our members. I think an even bigger misconception, everyone thinks it's all about hate. You know, you guys are just so full of hate. And we are justifiably angry. We are living in a period of massive income inequality. Tonight in Las Vegas, thousands of people will be sleeping on the street while hotel rooms are unoccupied. We're paying for stadiums, but not for schools. And while there's maybe billions of dollars coming into state investment in real estate, gaming, seeing record profits, we're seeing a housing crisis, the likes that we've never experienced. Evictions, housing's unaffordable, people are being forced on the street. So yes, we are justifiably angry, but also we're not necessarily trying to destroy things. We're trying to build something new. We believe a better world is possible. And a lot of times people come to DSA because they're frustrated, but they stay involved. They spend time away from their families, from their lives, and from their jobs because they believe in this, because they have hope. So I think a big part of DSA is about seeing the xenophobia, the misogyny, the greed we're living in, and saying we believe in something different in a better way.
Sean, please tell us what are some of the issues in the country that DSA is centered on?
Oh, absolutely. We work on a number of different issues. I think right now one of our main focus is labor. We just had our national convention. We came together. There's a lot of very positive things going on in the labor movement, a lot of strikes that we support. Not to be like flippant, because strikes mean that people are not working and you want them to end as quickly as possible and the workers reaching their demands. But we're very excited in support of these strikes that are currently going on. Right now, all across the country, DSA members are standing with the UAW. We did a campaign with the Teamsters when they were on strike. The Writer Guild of America strike that is now coming to an end. DSA was very involved with that, raising about a little over, I believe, somewhere around $100,000 for striking writers. There's a quote I read online where someone said, you know, a lot of people who wouldn't be able to eat were able to eat because of the money DSA. Also, housing is a big issue, not here in Nevada, but across the country. We're launching a national campaign in support of trans rights. So there's a number of different issues, and it kind of varies place to place. The material organizing conditions vary by where you are in the country. So kind of depending on where the chapter is, they would work on a number of different issues depending on like the material conditions on the ground there where the chapter exists.
So is there like some kind of what degree of similarity the DSA represents in terms of like, or is there like a similarity on policy issues as that of Senator Bernie Sanders?
You know, Bernie Sanders, the campaign was a very big moment for us. That's when a lot of people got involved. Here in Las Vegas, that's where we saw kind of our main growth, and a lot of that I have to attribute to also to the work of my co-chair, Kara. But we saw tremendous growth. We were the fastest growing chapter during that time. But you know, it kind of varies because it could depend on where the chapter is.
Yes.
Like places like New York, Chicago, they're very electorally minded. They're able to get candidates elected to City Hall, you know, people to Congress. But there's a lot of like smaller chapters, like in the South. Like here for a while, we were a smaller chapter, so a lot of those groups tend to focus on mutual aid, you know, feeding people, working on like disaster relief. I'm part of the national mutual aid working group, so it really varies. We have like national campaigns and national priorities to work on, but a lot of the work a chapter does depends on what part of the country they're located.
Any last word from you for our viewers?
Yes, please check us out online. Pretty much information on all the things we're doing, all of our events. We have a number of events coming up. You go to lvdsa.org. So again, that's lvdsa.org for all the information about our organization. We're just trying to build a better world where folks come from all walks of life. You know, yeah, please check us out.
All right.
We're out of time for today's show. Thank you for joining us. I'm Esmeralda Padilla-Gould.
And I'm Sam Buban. God bless your week.